There is one match left to decide the men's NCCAA Division I Soccer Championships, and it'll be the number 1 and 4 seeds. Zealand Shannon, joined by Ryan Sudol for the championship game. This is going to be a matchup between, well, the two-time defending champion and a 4 seed looking for an upset.
Southwestern Christian looking for their 3rd straight, and a lot of guys that have been a part of the team for the last 2 seasons coming into this 3rd season. Expect a very high-powered attack and a little bit of a lopsided game possibly as far as possession goes, but again, that's why we play 90 minutes.
Absolutely. Between these two teams, perhaps the most entertaining stat of all, both teams combined have allowed exactly 1 goal in the entire tournament, so we may very well have a low-scoring match in our hands, which could favor, as I called them yesterday, the Cardiac Kids of Bethel College, which has scored 3 of its 4 goals in the final 5:15 of regular time or in extra time, including the walk-off against the 2-seed Grace College last night from Gabrielle Ferreira. And that was charged with emotion as Ferreira took his shirt off and blew some kisses to the stands. He didn't make any more friends on his way around the yard. In the gray, it'll be Southwestern Christian University, the aforementioned 2-time champions, while Bethel College is rocking some fairly sleek black uniforms with white lettering and some navy trim, which is quite hard to discern from all the way up here, especially with my eyes. Milovic was injured towards the end of the last match that SCU played, but he's returned in goal, number 99, instead of Bamra, who came in to see out the 2-0 win. All 3 wins for SCU were 2-0. Do you think I don't even know what to take from a stat like that, to be perfectly honest. I feel like there's a lot of fate involved.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of pressure on them to score more than 2 goals in a national championship game. Obviously, 2 goals is not a very comfortable lead, even if you jump out to one very early. But I know SCU is going to be looking to run everything up top with Jamie Campbell, and especially one of the big playmakers last season in Igor Stoyanovic.
Stoyanovic scoring both goals against Ottawa University, Arizona, to carry SCU to victory. And that was really his first appearances. Before that, he had not been involved all too much. Milos Milovic, the goalkeeper, is not very happy with the call, a throw-in towards the corner instead of a goal kick. And not very happy, probably an understatement. Arce will be the other goalkeeper. Tony Ballmer, the official, has been called to have a discussion with Javier Verdu Sanchez, who is as animated as he is talented.
For SCU, you're definitely going to want to test this freshman keeper early on. They do have a high-powered attack, and they're going to look to take advantage.
Mateus Gavea pushing for just that. Jamie Campbell, great opportunity, and a goal for SCU! Ryan Sudol, the prophet, Jamie Campbell, the goal. SCU leads the championship game inside 5 minutes, and it opened up far too easily in the end.
And it was just, as we were saying, they're going to want to test the freshman keeper early on, and said the offense was going to run through Jamie Campbell. A beautiful little layoff pass to his right. They had numbers. Jamie Campbell took advantage and puts SCU up 1-0.
There's a tidy finish. Mateus Gavea doing the yeoman's work to tee it up, and well, this is the opposite of a dream start, whatever that may be for the Pilots of Bethel College, because you really wanted to hang around in this match against the 2-time reigning champions and try and find your magical late goal once again. How does this readjust that game plan already?
Well, as a 4 seed, this is one of those games that you're typically not expected to be in. So for them to concede that early is definitely going to affect their psyche. But, again, not out of it. There's still well over 80 minutes to be played here at Austin-Tindall, but definitely a little bit of a heartbreak for the Bethel Pilots early on.
Finn Lubin, it's a weighted pass over everything right to Milos Milovic. The other time Bethel College conceded, it was against Campbellsville, a match against Campbellsville that Bethel College went down 1-0 and came back to win 2-1. So there is some precedent for Bethel, but SCU isn't quite Campbellsville.
For SCU, a team that is, once they do have a lead, usually pretty good in protecting it.
If Bethel College wants to win the NCCAA National Championship. It will have to score the first goal against SCU in the entire tournament to do it. Vera's put himself in an excellent space, but favors his left foot, and that put him at a huge disadvantage. The shot blocked by Cape at the end, or Moritz Kulik, rather. Not a bad opportunity for Bethel College, just wrong-footed Vera.
No, and at this level, to be able to have a truly two-footed player is a very tough thing to find. And with a guy like Javier Vera to take that extra step so he could get his left foot, which he was favoring, not beneficial for them in that situation.
Jamie Campbell's playing what seems to be a number 9 role. He'd been out wide earlier in the tournament, but he's trying to bother both Samuel Beek and Tanner Gibson, the back line that's just conceded its second goal in the entire tournament. On Giveros. Jackson Didion, someone that can create space off the right side. Beek, who is the long deliverer of the bunch, and this is almost on a dime. It is. Fantastic pass. Jackson, that was even Alex De Silva. He checked back in front of Jackson's, put it out for a corner kick. It's a heck of a pass from Samuel Beek.
And also something you see oftentimes at this level, just trying to get a deep run on the opposite side of the field. Great first touch, a little heavy.
Lubin's service. Bodied away at the front post. There's appeals for a foul as Elijah Kerr came in hard and a bit high. Ball over the top. It's quite the run from Jamie Campbell. My goodness, the pace of Jamie Campbell. He's been pulled back by Jackson Didion. And this will be a yellow card foul. The pace of Jamie Campbell, it's hard to overestimate it.
And just a very sloppy and lazy foul on the part of Bethel.
And Didion is a very fast customer, but Tony Baumer's well within his rights to give a yellow for that, as it looked like Jamie Campbell was one touch from turning into a 1v1 on goal. And there's a real opportunity for SCU to try and turn this into a bit of a rout in the opening 7 minutes against Bethel College. You figure Campbell's the most likely with the right foot to use, as Arce's set a 4-man wall. Cem Bektas is the left-footed option. Jamie Campbell saved by Arce. It was a half-decent save from the young Mexican goalkeeper.
And for Jamie Campbell, I mean, really no better place you can put it, as Arce was lined up on that far right side, was able to cut, read it right over the wall and bending towards that upper corner. Very lucky to get two hands on it and knock it away for the corner.
Always helps when you shade out that way just a little bit. Javier Verdu Sanchez, he's kept it in, headed back across, and wide. Hands into the air from Jamie Campbell. Campbell the difference early. SCU with a 1-0 lead and looking ready to boss the match unless Bethel College has, well, some response. Rolfson Clairvoix. Elijah Kerr. Run under by Jackson. But Aragin can see it out for a throw. So nice passing display for Bethel College and another throw-in. Need a little more forward momentum. Kerr. Finn Lubin tried to touch through, but it's a crowded line on the far side.
It was a nice effort to try to get that turn, to try to break into the corner. Unfortunately, just not enough space to do so.
Flag's gone up. I believe you're going to say it was handled after a moment of reflection.
Foul on the play, and the ball back over to Bethel.
Jonathan Quinter, the assistant referee on the far side, with the decision. And Tanner Gibson has himself a free swing. At least slowing the match down a little bit for Bethel College when it looked very dangerous at the beginning. heck of a hit all the way to Milovic, and he's got something for his trouble. Rene Colasos has earned himself a conversation and an emphatic waving of the arms from Tony Ballmer.
Yeah, and another lazy foul on the part of Bethel, just clearly into the hands after that about 60-yard boot.
Few NFL teams that could use somebody to kick the ball that far. Artur Gomes. Jackson, that was a dicey pass, but he's found Gomes. The ball's moving crisply for SCU. Javier Verdu Sanchez. Gomes stuck himself under the forwards. Mateus Gouveia, who was the game breaker for the opening goal, wide for Alex De Silva, and it skipped up into him right in front of the Bethel College bench, which is happy to let him know about it.
And Bethel right now just playing a little more passive probably than you'd like to see. They're allowing SCU to slowly move the ball up through the midfield, which is definitely not going to work for them moving forward. But again, you don't see SCU trying to make a whole lot of these long opportunistic runs, just nice, close, controlled passing, and doing it with ease right now.
Well, that early goal, it gives you so much leeway when it comes to being casual, not casual, but more precise with the build-up. Something for your back pocket. Samuel Beek connects with his countryman Finn Lubin. Rene Colasos is matched by Javier Verdu Sanchez. An advantage has been given. Verdu Sanchez, he might have just stood over the ball to accept the free kick instead. That was one of the louder advantage calls you will hear.
One of the benefits of playing in an intimate setting like this, where you're not in a stadium of 70,000, is you do get to hear some of the conversations between the officials, the players, and the coaches as well.
Has been one of the unique joys of this tournament for sure, because all these schools traveling so far away from the fan bases, the exception of Warner from Lake Wales, able to bring a contingent. The only Floridian representative came in men's and women's, but left in the group stages on both accounts. A little over 10 minutes in, and SCU is right where it wants to be, already in front. Farah is hassling Jackson, but Jackson more than a physical match to shield the ball out. There have been some tactical adjustments for SCU coming into this match. Alex De Silva is playing right back, where he's really been an attacking wing player up until this match. They've slid Nick Jackson, who was the right back, into center back and put him up next to Moritz Kulik. And Chim Bektas, who's been a spark plug off the bench, has just gone ahead and started on the right wing. Neil Kegel's pulling out the stops. A lot of respect to Bethel maybe, or seeing something now that you can actually scout your opponent. Jamie Campbell in behind, but Arce off his line. Bethel College coming out in a fairly familiar setup. Finn Lubin played left back up through the group stage, but his migration up the field for the semifinal has been maintained, and Vera starting instead of off the bench. Expect Jose Barquin, though, to continue to be a substitute star, left out of the starting lineup again, but a part of either scoring or assisting more than half of Bethel's goals in this tournament. Clairvoix, Colasos lets it run. Javier Verdu Sanchez is waiting for it. Misread Milos Milovic. It only takes one moment. That's a heavy collision. Elijah Kerr has been throwing his body around, and this is going to be quite the issue, because Chim Bektas is not somebody who's going to step his way out of a challenge and is typically one of the more animated characters. Chim Bektas with something to say to Elijah Kerr, and the fortune of this is it's happened right in front of the whole officiating crew and both benches, which also could go both ways. It could be gasoline for the fire, and it could also help disarm everything, but the teammates able to break everything up. Bektas and Kerr will be drawn aside by the official. Wise move.
Again, a very unnecessary foul, and then the extracurriculars that followed. And for some of those extracurriculars, both now going into the book. Again, when you get some of those fouls early on, especially in the first 15 minutes, that's something that, as an official, you definitely have to shut down really quickly. And now that both teams are now on notice.
Championship game, and you get a dust-up like that in the first 13 minutes of the game. So Cem Bektas and Elijah Kerr both in the book. That puts both Bethel College fullbacks in the book in the first 13 minutes, with Diddy and Artie on a yellow. So the Wings are going to be free of risky challenges for the duration.
Again, a tackle like that also comes from being down 1-0 in the 14th minute. It's frustration that sets in. You're very psyched for this championship game, and you just kind of let your emotions get the better of you, and that just an unnecessary foul on the part of Bethel.
A goal so early really doesn't allow you the chance to get yourself into the match. Not everybody's had a touch of the ball yet. Not everybody's feeling comfortable under the championship lights quite yet, with both of us talking about them.
Again, a very new field last year for the NCCAAs. This stadium and this press box were not here. We were playing all of our games over on the other fields where they were having some of the group stage matches. So I couldn't even find the stadium walking in today. So it's
we almost lost Ryan Sudol.
A great new facility here at Austin-Tindall, and very happy to have this one going forward for future NCCAA tournaments.
It is a splendid scene. The lights are industrial, quite frankly. It'll light up the dark side of the moon if I so chose. Gibson. Gavea has stepped to the ball. He's got a quick overlap in a tight window, but he decides to turn away from it. Rolfson Clairvoix not giving him an inch. Credit to the Bethel College bench, though, and to the whole coaching staff. Team's still very much charged into the game.
And you kind of need that, especially after that double booking from each side and knowing your team's already got 2 yellows, and now you have to take some of your challenges a little more safely.
The high energy can work both ways. Finn Lubin on the takeaway, then some skill from Finn Lubin. A man of creative force. Now Vera dragging it back for Lubin. Javier Verdu Sanchez, an optimistic pass from Vera. Finn Lubin was a few strides away.
And Colossos also about 5 or 10 yards away from having a perfect run. And just, again, it's something that happens at the collegiate level at all facets. And as some of these players progress and move on or stay for the next year, that's something that they will definitely get better at.
The art of moving without the ball. Colossos is doing just fine on the ball now. And the official, Tony Baumers, waving off any protests for a foul as Colossos found himself on the ground with Verdu Sanchez on top of him. Now Javier Verdu Sanchez, an opportunity to get forward. That is his favorite chance, and he's full of a bag of tricks. Half a mile deep. That one did not come off in particular, but he's a man that can draw the oohs and ahs even when the play doesn't work.
And that worked, and he was able to break down the line. That would have that definitely would have got the fans that are here to watch. Something that you see often in the Spanish Premier League and La Liga.
Javier Verdu Sanchez didn't have the fortune of you being with me. Scored a sensational volley goal at a sharp angle around the corner of the box earlier in the tournament.
Yeah, and he was a huge playmaker for SCU last season as well. Again, can't stress enough the importance of having guys that were on the championship team, not just last year, but the year before too, that have been here before, that know what it's like to play for an NCCAA championship.
And Bethel has won this title before in its school's history, not tremendously recently. Gabrielle Ferreira has followed through on Moritz Kulik. Extension of the arms is going to draw that 11 times out of 10. And Ferreira, the hero from the last match, but it's the dawn of a new day. And it seems Bethel College will need a couple of heroes. Jose Barquin has checked in, by the way. He's certainly the player to watch for Bethel with his track record in the tournament. He'll be roaming the left wing in the number 26. Flicked along for Manuel Belmonte, but Samuel Beek, he's had enough. Arce trying to marshal his defense from the goal mouth. Koziolik. Well, there were plenty of SCU players in the area, but Chimbektas too cheeky. Farah. Gabrielle Ferreira. Brilliant couple of touches for Ferreira and a better pass for Vera. Oh, it's Borkin! Jose Borkin! In one break for Bethel College. And now I'm the prophet, and it's 1-1.
Just an absolutely picture-perfect run, and Barkeen, rather than waste his time trying to dribble into the box, lines up that first touch shot, something that you're going to have to do to try to burn SCU, and what a strike.
That 5 seconds for the Pilots is as good as you can possibly hope for, with Gabrielle Ferreira burning his way by Artur Gomes and laying it in for a beautiful and perfectly timed diagonal run, as you said, from Jose Barkeen. And Barkeen, that was his weak foot. What a tremendous finish.
Again, SCU, not a school that allows a lot of build-up. The only way to really attack them is on a counter like we just saw, and it paid off for Bethel.
Well, I've been storing in my bank of phrases saying that Bethel College looked like it had a goal in them. I didn't get it out in time. Hindsight 2020, and Bethel College has leveled things, and where we might have been worried about a blowout after Jamie Campbell's early goal, we could have the complete flip side. The 4 seed here to stay, at least in the first half. Ontiveros. Kerr. This is Farah into the corner. Dragged him all the way, Jackson. There's no way he was getting around him. Something of a shock for SCU. Got the idea the Eagles felt like this was going to be a rather comfortable exercise in the championship game.
It'll be interesting to see how they adjust now that they're back tied at 1 again. See if they make any adjustments up top or in the midfield as far as trying to create or building from the back.
That goal did come across the back of Jackson, who had not played center back in this tournament up until this match. He'd been playing out at right back, as I was touching on earlier, so not quite prepared for those runs. That cleared all the way into the retention pond. The adrenaline is high for Bethel College across the board. And there's no other match to save it for, I suppose. Jackson. Moritz Kulik. Jackson's wastefully put it out of play. There's a feeling that that goal might have just equalized these two teams.
And after that first goal from Jamie Campbell, we saw a little retaliation on the part of Bethel. It'll be interesting to see if SCU answers in kind as far as their defensive play is concerned.
We have ventured into the land of stern challenges a few times already.
And also with Zach Schoon just checking in now, saw him just give a little bit of an elbow to Kulik as he is entering the pitch, so already trying to get into the heads of the center backs for SCU.
Schoon is definitely most properly described as a defensive forward, as a man of endless stamina and speed and plenty of attitude. He struggled when presented with opportunities. How do you like that turn from Elijah Kerr? Ontiveros run himself off the ball. Manu Belmonte. Moritz Kulik. Schoon not giving an inch. Artur Gomes. SCU finding it harder to connect the midfield with the attack. That will do, though. Mateus Gouveia. Gouvea's dragged it back for Alexander Koziolik. Koziolik turns on the style for Belmonte. Off the post. It shaved it on the way by. That was gorgeous for the Eagles.
Alexander Koziolik with that beautiful and defiant backheel pass, trying to set up Manuel Belmonte, and just unfortunate for it to skip past that right post.
That was perhaps the largest windup in recorded history for a backheel from Koziolik. And Arce, we saw this some in the semifinal as well. He cedes the goal kick to Samuel Beek. And it's not so much that Arce has terrible kicking, it's that Samuel Beek has a cannon attached to his right leg. Seems to be manager's choice when it happens. Jamie Campbell's won the throw-in. A quarter of the way through the match, and based off of the first 5 minutes, it's gone very differently than our opening prediction. Artur Gomes. Jose Barquin's equalizer after Jamie Campbell's very early goal. Alexander Koziolik. Koziolik, this could fall for Campbell, but it didn't have enough air. Kerr's headed it down, and Barquin. The communication right with Kerr, but not the pass.
And Bethel's just going to have to keep trying those long runs, again, to try to sneak in behind that back line of SCU. Again, we're going to see a few more of those efforts and have them skip out, just out past touch. But again, so far, it's worked once for them. The more they keep trying, you know, if you can't pass, you can't shoot, you can't score.
And your boy Zach Schoon has committed his first foul. He's bumbling through Nick Jackson. All it takes is the one moment, and there's a feeling with the settling down of the match in the past few minutes that both teams are getting ready for the long haul. This is going to be a 90-minute affair. Kulik has Schoon for company. Manu Belmonte is poked right off it by Didion. Ferreira is clattered. Advantage is played and screamed. Clairvoy. Barquin. Oh, he's pulled the trigger to Jackson Didion into the corner. Didion with ferocity, but not too much from Ilovic. Campbell. Elijah Kerr with just enough pace to disrupt Jamie Campbell, who has now drifted wide, and Chimbektas has moved to the middle to point out some of those tactical adjustments after the first goal. Jackson's looking for Chimbektas, who is calling for it. Gibson wide. Kerr creatively earns a couple of yards. SCU is settled in possession once again, though. Javier Verdu Sanchez. Koziolik has to check back for it. He's tucked himself in behind Finn Lubin. Weighted ball. Perfect. Javier Verdu Sanchez across the goal. Runs away from Arcet. And he's fortunate to have Elijah Kerr waiting for it.
That was a dangerous opportunity for SCU. A beautiful run. Perfectly weighted lead pass there for Verdu Sanchez. And just unfortunately for him, nobody trailing.
That was an interpretive route to the ball for Arce, the goalkeeper. Thought he might be able to cut it and then just ended up chasing it. Belmonte. Interesting low-driven ball skipped away by Schoon. Corner number 2.
Yeah, and that's one of those crosses where you're just kind of at that point hoping that you're going to get the second ball off a goofy deflection, possibly off the head of somebody on that near post. We'll see if they try the same approach here on this corner.
Chimbektas with an in-swinging foot, not by the first man, which is Schoon again, falls, and a why not from Javier Verdu Sanchez has gone well over.
Try is up high and out of play. Goal kick to Bethel.
He wouldn't be Javier Verdu Sanchez if he didn't try it. And Arce will hand this off to Samuel Beek. 19 minutes left in the first half. It's 1-1, the number 1 seed conceding. And we mentioned the point before the goal, but conceding its first goal of the tournament to the number 4 seed Bethel College after taking the early lead. And here we are.
So important you mentioned Samuel Beek, one of the many Germans playing here in the NCCAAs. People don't understand just how diverse this is and the opportunities that are played for by some of the international players. Last year at one of the NCCAA tournaments, the Golden Ball winner and Nico Matern for Indiana Wesleyan actually going on to play professionally in the USL with Indy 11 this season, and just actually re-signed for the 2019 season. So people that might take a look at this tournament and think that the quality is not there, it is.
It's been on display really with the 2 goals that have been scored in this. Guys like Barquin, the Mexican winger, making plays that'd be fit for really any stage. Finn Lubin, the other German, on the field right now for Bethel College, and Barquin, Ferreira's from Brazil. Schoon, he's won the corner with determination. And a chance off the set piece for Bethel College. Barquin will take it. The seemingly ambidextrous Mexican. Whip towards the far post. It's a tad wasteful. Very rare you'll be able to score with a ball in that position.
I think he felt the wind a little bit in his face, thought maybe he could probably curl it and try and cause some commotion near that far post. Instead, it just gets away from him and out for the goal kick.
Milos Milovic has been caught in a goalkeeping battle all season with the enthusiastic Dev Bamra. Bamra has started the exact same amount of matches coming into this one as Milovic, and when Milovic was leaving with a slight knock in the match yesterday, he was wildly upset that he was being removed for Bamra. And Javier Verdu Sanchez with an international take on that ball rolling out. The player down on the far side of the field, and it might be a very important one. I think it's Mateus Gouveia, who Neil Kegel marked out to me at the beginning of the tournament as, I asked every coach this, there's one player, if you win the championship, he was the guy that carried you there. He said number 10.
Well, and with Mateus Gouveia is, again, at any level of soccer, the number 10, you're usually going to mark down as your most important player. So for him to be gone for any extended period of time is going to hurt SCU's chances as far as winning an NCCAA championship.
That road got a lot tougher than it might, and it looked after Gouveia teed up a beautiful assist for Jamie Campbell after a marauding run. To be fair to Gouveia, he's spent about a quarter of the tournament on his backside. He's someone that draws plenty of fouls, and he's managed to bounce back from all of them. But this one has required the trainer, and we'll see if he's just run back onto the field or not.
It has nothing to do with him being Brazilian, does it?
You know, the speculation would be there. Gouveia he's taken his lumps in this tournament, and there have been some loud yells, should I say?
Just making sure the referee is aware.
Absolutely, just making sure it's aware of it. This one, though, obviously requiring the trainer. The only reason to joke is it does seem he will be okay and able to continue, but the game has different cultures, Ryan Sudol, and the Brazilian one has
not been accentuated by their current best player.
Yes, yeah, of internet fame. Thank you, Neymar. But I'm sure Mateus Gouveia would say it's assisting the official. That's what the culture is. He's certainly a dynamic player. However he chooses to head to the ground, Jose Barquin has been fouled, and he's going to need a substitution. And all of a sudden, Bethel College's heart stopping after Gouveia was down for a moment. to do the same for Southwestern Christian University. I don't know if you saw this or not. I didn't really pick out what happened to Barkeen.
It looked like he may have overstepped and just not sure, but it was weird. It was his reaction was delayed going down, and well, it's one of those injuries that really only occur in the men's game. It looks like possibly.
Potentially. He called for the substitution instantly before he even went to the ground and knew that he was going to be in trouble. It seems to be something with the left leg or
26, Jose Barkeen. Back on his feet.
Mateus Gavea has returned with a slight limp, and Bethel College, the rest of us be hoping that it will be Barkeen doing the same in a matter of moments, and perhaps it will, as he is leaving under his own power.
Yeah, but he does seem to be favoring his groin. But still at a jog, so possible chance that we may see him after getting stretched out a little bit.
Well, the voice is an octave higher, but he can still kick the ball, I suppose. 16 minutes are left in the first half, and a 1-1 contest. Bethel College and Southwestern Christian University. Bethel outdid themselves just to win Group C. Not favored to win Group C. Campbellsville, the 3 seed, was. Knocked Campbellsville out of the tournament. Knocked the 2 seed, Grace. You got to knock out 3-2-1 to win it if you're the 4 seed, and that's the opportunity on this Finn Lubin free kick. Bent towards Milovic. Dangerous for Milovic. And Milovic has gone down in some pain.
And the clock will stop.
You could see it. That was a perfect ball from Finn Lubin. You want to try and create that decision from the goalkeeper, and oftentimes you will create a collision like this.
And the referee not initially whistling for a foul because it was, in fact, a 50-50 ball, and the keeper comes up with it. There was no malintent by the charging Bethel player, but he is paying for it.
Yeah, didn't catch who it was that went down, but Milovic is up with a limp, seems to have just fallen uncomfortably. It might be something more nefarious for whoever has headed to the turf. It's not Barkeen. We can confirm that. He's not yet returned to the field.
I think what happened on the 50-50 ball, as Milovic grabbed it, I believe his elbow kind of either hit the chest or the stomach of the charging player. So might have just gotten the wind knocked out of him. Doesn't seem to be rolling around in any sort of leg or arm pain.
Barkeen, I believe he has returned to the field, Jose Barkeen. So Barkeen and Gavea have survived 2 of the previous injuries in the past minute of play. And the third, which is Gabrielle Ferreira, and he'll be leaving with a limp, but under his own power.
Fans, both of our injured players back on their feet. Number 21, Gabrielle Ferreira for Bethel, and the keeper, number 99, Milos Milovic for Southwestern Christian. Back onto the pitch for Bethel, number 26, Jose Barkeen.
Well, that'll certainly break up the pace of the match with 3 players picking up a knock inside, I'd say, 45 seconds. And, of course, in college soccer, the official in his right to stop the clock with no added time at the back end of a half. And Milovic, Bethel College providing the space, choosing to pick up basically a 3-quarter court defense. Koziolik. Quite the run. Alexander Koziolik, Ferdu Sanchez, Manu Belmonte. This dynamic movement from SCU. Arthur Gomes bowling through Rolfson Clairvoix. Koziolik He got absolutely all of that shot. Alexander Koziolik has looked dynamic and creative.
From 20 yards out, that's exactly the shot you want to look for when you have that much time and space. Again, it all started with the winning of the ball on the far side of the field. They set up Koziolik for it. Had to go, just unlucky not to tuck it under the bar.
Coming into this match, 3 of the last 4 goals over the last 2 matches, SCU had scored from outside the box, majority. And still going through the last 2 matches and then adding this one on top of it, it's 3 of the last 5. Ferdu Sanchez. Mateus Gouveia has got space to turn into. He'll use it. It's collapsed on by Finn Lubin. Gabrielle Ferreira put off it. Only had a moment to sulk. Mateus Gouveia has taken it back. Angular run for Chimbektas, and Arce ends the chance. The funny notes of this match to highlight the depth of SCU. Igor Stoyanovic is the player of the tournament last time. Schoon's offside. Scored 2 goals in the semifinal. Both goals. We have not seen him take the field yet for SCU.
You can imagine that. Might not see him in the first half, but you can imagine the second half possibly with a half hour. I mean, watching him last year was just absolutely electric here at Austin-Tindall, as almost every ball he would just be able to keep at his feet and just muscle through the midfield and the defensive opposition. So you're right, it is a little shocking to see him not on the field right now, but you talk about the depth. Right now it's tied up at 1. They don't need him.
On towards Campbell. I've shown the preference to Campbell just trying to get in behind Bethel College. Argument to be made that Campbell is the fastest guy on the field right now, the 11 in gray. Kerr. Schoon. Picked clean by Artur Gomes. Ahead for Campbell. Gibson. Nervy moment or two for the center half. Up for Schoon. Barkeen tries to keep him moving, but that will fizzle quickly for the Pilots of Bethel College.
Substitutions now for both squads. In for
Zealand Shannon and Ryan Sudol with you from Austin-Tindall Park in Kissimmee, Florida, just south of Orlando, concluding the NCCAA Men's and Women's Division I Soccer Championship. Congrats to Trinity Christian College for the women's win in the 10th round of penalty kicks. It was very difficult to separate them from Oklahoma Wesleyan. Congratulations to the runners-up as well. Crowning the men's champions now. Mateus Gouveia just under the boot of Jamie Campbell. It's been quite the tournament, starting in November 26th through the 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, and now 1st. It'll be 6 days of competition for those not keeping track at home. Didion. Touched along by Ferreira. Yeager's gone back to Ferreira. He's offside. It was close. It almost came together. That was good discipline from the back line.
It was a beautiful give and go down that right flank, and a little shocked to see the flag go up. Looked like he might have snuck in right behind that last defender for SCU, but assistant referee raises the flag immediately, and we do not have the benefit of VAR, so you can't really let the play continue.
Yeager is used for about 30 minutes a match, it seems, for Bethel College, the 19 that was the deliverer of the 1-2, and he's on the ball again. Seems forceful when he is on the field, though. Finn Lubin giving nothing easy to Alex De Silva.
substitution now in for Southwestern Christian, number 26, Juan Anselmi.
The Uruguayan Juan Anselmi has relieved Chimbektas, who didn't find himself on the ball all that often.
We'll see how the freshman is able to help bolster this SCU attack.
Javier Verdu Sanchez has acres of room on the near side. Didion closes him down, puts in quite the challenge as well, on a yellow card no less, and Verdu Sanchez even acknowledging that was clean. Corner kick.
Out of bounds, corner kick upcoming
he'll have the wind a little bit at his back, so might want to take a little bit off this.
Whip towards the near post. Schoon, a busy man in corner defense. Opportunity to put it into the box again. Yeager this time acquits himself. Finn Lubin wants to give Gabrielle Ferreira a chance. Alex De Silva lets it drop and then aims for the moon. Finn Lubin. It's a tough touch to pull off. We can't find the moon. For those curious.
A little bit of cloud covering
Yeah.
the semi.
Have to relegate that to a figure of speech. Jamie Campbell. Well, he had the ball, but it had already been blown dead. There's 9 minutes left in the first half of this men's NCCAA championship game. Bethel, the champions of yore, the two-time reigning champions, Southwestern Christian University, looked sure bets to defend the throne after the early goal, but Bethel College and Jose Barquin with the equalizer. It was all it was needed. Juan Pebicini, and he's done tremendously, Pebicini. Flashes the step-overs, and Juan Pebicini looking inspired to the right foot. And he might have gone one step too far in the end, but it was something serious from the Argentine. Finn Lubin with a missed touch, and SCU is tightening the screws a little bit.
Again, some minor personnel changes up top. Again, getting a freshman up there still with a tie game when you still have Stoyanovic on the bench.
Dropped into the corner. Ferdu Sanchez continuing his run. Tries to draw the foul off Rolfson Clairvoix. It took a slight touch as well on the way by Pebicini. And after some deliberation between the two officials, Tony Baumer, the head referee, saying, nope, it's to Southwestern Christian University. Ferdu Sanchez. For Koziolik, lost it in his feet. Gabrielle Ferreira is going to break quickly. Now Artur Gomes had work to do. Out to Mateus Gavea. Gomes. Alex De Silva, the Brazilian connection all the way through. Anselmi. De Silva, he's carried quite the run from the right back position across for a corner. And that's really what FCU's looking for from the fullbacks, putting Alex De Silva back at right back with Ferdu Sanchez on the left. They're getting up.
And it was a nice charge to get into the 18-yard box and just, again, had a couple guys at the top of the 18 and also on the penalty spot. Just, again, good job by Bethel to defend that attack from SCU.
Get the feeling the Bethel College Pilots will need to ride out these last 7 minutes. 5 Eagles are stacked just inside the 18. And anytime there's that big a crowd on a set piece, it will attract the referee's attention. Swung in. Right on the edge of the 6 is a dangerous area drawn across by Anselmi. Koziolik. He just turned into a fantastic position and got under the ball.
And very hard to turn and try and track the ball through the air and try and knock it off on that little half volley, and just about a centimeter or two too far under the heart of the ball.
Certainly a chance that it'd look easier to the eyes from the stands than it was to execute for Koziolik, because he did find an incredible patch of space. Yeager bringing the pressure on Ferdu Sanchez. Ferdu Sanchez, it might have been kept in. It was. Nunez to Ferreira. Oh, Gabrielle Ferreira slid out sternly, we shall say, by Artur Gomes. He came in hard. Jackson Didion will ready himself for the throw. What's the substitution, though, for the Pilots? And Ferreira, after that show of skill, is removed for Luca Cardamone. I saw Cardamone playing some fullback earlier in the tournament, so both coaches are pulling out all the stops. Cardamone playing up on the wing. Schoon will shield this. It's another throw deep in the corner.
About as far as a corner as you can get.
No doubt Schoon was hoping for a little more. Yeager's trying to tee up the bike, and while audacious, it failed.
That ball out of play.
Very lucky to not make contact with an SCU defender's face as well. Very aggressive move, and from the position he was in, just kind of trying to set it up probably to anybody waiting on the penalty spot or the top of the 18.
The ball across with pace. You catch a face with that type of maneuver, you're looking at a card and you're hoping it's yellow. Didion. Ontiveros, back and forth we go. Koziolik, Rolfson, Clairvoix. Arsip. And Schoon misread it in the air.
And wind's starting to pick up a little bit at Austin-Tindall, and some of those longer balls are definitely going to be affected.
Archer Gomes, Nunez bearing down on Jackson. Had an incredibly breezy first couple of days. Bethel College got to play in the breeze and the freezing cold on Tuesday. Mateus Guevara, he's gone down, no foul.
Lucky for Bethel College up in Mishawaka, Indiana. Temperatures that they're typically accustomed to this time of year.
And you can certainly get the wind in Oklahoma, so there are facets that both of these teams can work with down in Kissimmee where they're a little less prominent. Didion not able to keep the ball in, but he'll have a swing. The official talking with Mateus Gavea. There's something to catch up to behind the play. Gavea looks like the child he's being told he can't have any more cookies out of the cookie jar. Not quite sure what the conversation was about.
I think it had to do with a previous foul that Gavea was mad was not called. Just voicing his displeasure.
There's some officials that will take the time to explain the reasoning and some that won't. Here now, Tony Bomber is the former. Jackson. Whistles by Anselmi Gibson. Kerr. Cardamone. Elijah Kerr is picking up steam down the side, but Alex De Silva stopped it all up. Artur Gomes. Fardu Sanchez was the intended target, but it's drifted wide of him. Energy to the match from Bethel College. Yeager in a pocket. Nunez. Didion. It's better possession from Bethel.
Definitely more controlled, taking their time, waiting to see if any of those runs are going to develop.
Absolutely, both teams comfortable with the ball and in the game. In the 44th minute. De Silva. Mateus Gouveia. He's won the throw at least. Yeager contesting the call.
Now with just about 60 seconds remaining in the first half, we're going to see one of two things. Either the team's feeling content to take the 1-1 tie into the locker room, or just one last all-out onslaught to try to get one last shot on net to get a lead going into the half.
Koziolik, Gavea. The latter seems on tap. Huge run from De Silva coming on the side. Has Cardamone closing him down. Mateus Gavea has space for a delivery. Samuel Beek and Bethel College be content as Ontiveros whips it just out of the fray. And it only leaves the fray for a moment. Koziolik. Give and go. Puts Koziolik to the next level. Verdu Sanchez. His idealism not panning out thus far. That might just take us to the half, depending on Jackson Didion's preference. And that definitely will. 1-1. Not something we necessarily saw, but that is the scoreline of the halftime of the championship match for the NCCAA Division I Men's Soccer Championship. We'll be back for the second half in Kissimmee, Florida.
And Southwestern Christian.
Determine our men's Division I NCCAA champion. Right now, all level. SCU and Bethel College coming back from down a goal earlier in the match to tie it up. Zealand Shannon, Ryan Sudol with you from Kissimmee, Florida. Could not be a better evening. SCU will be going left to right in the gray. Bethel College in the black. White trim will be going right to left. SCU the number 1 seed, Bethel College the 4. And I think you've been handed just about every pertinent piece of information to catch you up.
All except Jamie Campbell now switching over to that right wing. And Igor Stoyanovic, last year's tournament MVP.
Certainly well rested. Didn't play in the first half despite scoring his first 2 goals of the tournament in the semifinal. Both of SCU's goals for the win. But unfamiliar territory this year for Southwestern Christian University, allowing the first goal it's allowed the whole tournament to Jose Barquin and Gabrielle Ferreira on the assist in the first half. SCU is starting to put its back into it towards the end of the first half, but Bethel College looks to be very much in the match, which was a concern the way the Pilots started. The first 5-6 minutes were particularly troublesome. Stoyanovic has won the ball. Koich picks a pass for Jamie Campbell, and Campbell in stride goes round Gibson in front. Arce struggled to deal with it.
Excellent run by Campbell. You saw just his effectiveness. Had a chance to maybe take a shot from a better angle, opted to try to get to the end line and cross it over. And instead, Arce is there to shut down the attack.
There's a certain feeling when you watch Jamie Campbell make a run like that he should be able to do that every time he wants. When he really sets his mind to getting to the end line, it's very difficult to keep him from it.
And it wasn't really a strategy we saw them do so much in the first half because he was kind of the target man up top. Now with Stoyanovic, he'll have an opportunity to break those runs, and Stoyanovic, being as fast and strong as he is, might be able to see something happen for SCU here in the second half.
Certainly the use of the magic man off the bench, Stoyanovic, who's typically in the starting lineup. Official will slow things down to check on Gabrielle Ferreira, who'd slowed up behind the play. The other tidbit is that Milos Milovic, the goalkeeper in the first half for Southwestern Christian University, has been removed. We talked about how it's gone back and forth between him and Dev Bamra, and Dev Bamra has made an appearance for the second half, the Englishman. Saw him play after Milovic was hurt in the semifinal.
Did get a little beat up in the first half as well.
You wonder if it was a switch that was Coach Cackle's choice or perhaps taken out of his hands by Milovic being banged up once again. I see Milovic is actually behind the scorer's table getting looked at and talked to by the athletic trainers, so that could be the other explanation outside of pure rotation. Koziolik, Javier Verdu Sanchez. He's pulled Ferreira to the inside. Mateus Gouveia. Adeguin. Once Yeager. Mateus Gavea was shoved by Yeager. Gavea sold as an offensive threat, but I've thought in this tournament he's been a very effective defensive player as well. That evidence of it's great anticipation from Gavea.
Again, he is a very technically good player growing up in a country that you were put with a soccer ball at your feet at birth. You expect him to be good in all facets of the game. Koziolik
did an interesting ball. It needed Jackson Didion to keep it away from a couple of gray shirts on the back post. And Verdu Sanchez has gone tumbling at the feet of Gabrielle Ferreira. The official call for a stoppage at 40 minutes. And the trainer will be brought on for Javier Verdu Sanchez. You get the feeling that the official is calling for the trainer preemptively just to try and persuade players to not go down too easily in this match. It looked like a foul, but
if they do go down easily, to get up quickly.
There's an art to officiating and controlling the flow of the game without actually announcing it. I think Tony Ballmer has exercised some of that because that wasn't really warranting of calling the trainer, and Verdu Sanchez will be waved back in. He is okay.
Also, one of the neat intricacies of the collegiate game, the fact that you can stop the clock as opposed to adding time at the end of each half.
The assistant official on the near side, Bolak, he's run in and pointed out a particular player in the scrum for the referee to have an extra couple of words with. And we'll probably never know who that particular player was, but SCU doing a lot of this bunching up on the set pieces. Bectus with pace towards the near post. And it's Jose Barquin doing his defensive duty out for a corner.
Knocked away and out of bounds. Corner kick upcoming for Southwestern Christian.
And now bunched up just inside the 18 again for the corner, SCU. Will it be taken short? It will. A play is on. Javier Verdu Sanchez chips it into the box. Dangerous ball. Bruno Yeager was late arriving 3 yards from his own goal line to send it back the other direction for Bethel College. Ontiveros does the rest.
Excellent defensive header there by Bethel to keep this a 1-1 scoreline.
Jackson in some trouble. Gets a piggyback ride from Gabrielle Ferreira. And Gabrielle Ferreira, well, he's sending something of a message. Dev Bamra, the goalkeeper, he's had just about enough of that. He's bum-rushed Gabrielle Ferreira. Ferreira's dropped to the ground like a sack of rocks, and now we have 2 players down. What do you make of this exchange? Because Gabriella Ferreira certainly incited everything by standing over the defender, and the official's going to be right in the face of Dev Bamra.
I don't think it's so much that he stood over him. I think it's that he was off of him after he went down and then made it a point to go stand over him. I don't blame Dev Bamra at all for the move he made, and then just the absolute shameful dive that he took when Bamra tried to clear the space off his teammate. It's just, again, I mean, we joked about it in the first half with the a Brazilian style of taking a foul, but that's absolutely uncalled for.
Dev Bamra is a Voicey player. Neil Cagle at one point actually in the first match played by Southwestern Christian University, or the most recent against Judson before heading to the knockout stages, had to kick him off the bench because he was mouthing off to the officials so much. Dev Bamra, he is a man that shares his thoughts freely and was not taking too kindly to that. I believe he was sharing some words of the Bethel College bench after the whole affair. He has a very loud and stern British accent that shines above the crowd here at Austin-Tindall Complex.
No love lost between the Brits and the Brazilians either.
Layers upon layers. It was an interesting exchange, and it's an exchange the type of which we also saw in the first half that really heightens every challenge after for some 5 to 10 minutes.
Until, of course, the referee reaches into his pocket for another card, and then everybody tends to get cooler heads and let them prevail.
Mateus Gavea is coming into Ontiveros, and Well, there's the challenge, and here comes the card from Mateus Gouveia. And this is right on order with what you requested, Mr. Ryan Sudol. Tony Ballmer brandishing a card from Gouveia. What do you make of this foul?
Well, again, a little bit of retaliation, and you can see he kind of almost wanted to do that same move to kind of get over on top of the player.
And Gouveia, I think the issue here for Ontiveros is that Gouveia following through, the knee got perilously close to the head of Richie Ontiveros.
If you looked closely, though, Ontiveros definitely had his ankle wrapped up, trying to maybe incite a little more to try and get Gouveia to do something. And maybe he probably shouldn't have, but the yellow card absolutely warranted.
You talk, and we have, about the Brazilian penchant for going down quickly. That doesn't mean they foul any less hard. Mateus Gouveia knows how to play the game. Elijah Kerr.
Jamie Campbell again having polite words with the official.
I tell you, Jamie Campbell, he hasn't been involved in a single incident, but he's almost always the last person talking to the official. There are some characters. That's what makes the game so wonderful to watch. And these two teams have needed every single one of the characters they've brought to the table to make it to this stage. And there are 38 minutes left. And at this pace, it might take us 2 hours to play them, but there are 38 minutes left. Still 1-1 with the championship all on the line.
And as every second ticks away, that is also going to take up a little more adrenaline in each of these players' bloodstreams and intensify all the aggression and every tackle, again, wanting to get that next goal that could possibly be a game winner.
Beek threatening ball and wholeheartedly misread by Alexander Koziolik. He might have been called off very late by Dev Bamra and just thrown himself under the ball. But I'm not a man of guarantees. I can safely say that will not be the last yellow card issued in this match at the current pace.
If I were a betting man, I would definitely tend to agree with you and heed your advice.
Danny Edegin, Gouveia, out of a tight crowd. Damian Koich, Clairvoix. On Koich's turnover, Finn Lubin, natural lefty, not favored by this running angle. Pokes it wide. This is quite the step. Javier Verdu Sanchez seeing the opportunity to get in behind the defense. Waited across the front of goal. Stoyanovic, he's rounded Samuel Beek. That's the ball winning that you mentioned with Igor Stoyanovic, and he's not done yet. Igor Stoyanovic into the step-overs, met late by Beek. He's gone down, waved off, and that will be heavily protested by Southwestern Christian University. There was plenty of contact on Stoyanovic.
Got to be a little more egregious, though, if you're going to get a free attempt at goal from the spot.
In the second half of a championship game, I tend to agree. Barkeen. Bruno Yeager. What a touch by Yeager. And that might have been a break-even call as he was tugged back a little bit.
And that foul, I think, absolutely warranted a whistle from outside the 18. His arm fully extended and wrapped around the attacker and just kind of shielded from the referee.
Bruno Yeager shouting for Tony Ballmer as we have another player down. It might be Barkeen. And the trainer will be called at 36-46. So we saw Barkeen go down earlier, and it might have been a different injury than we initially speculated, something hampering his left leg. And Stoyanovic, who's not one for too many words, the Serbian, he's making his case for the penalty on the other end of the field. And, of course, Jamie Campbell is involved. The official, and we could hear that last bit saying, he made contact with the ball, it ain't going to happen.
Ballmer is one of the more vocal of the officials here at the NCCAAs as well. Always entertaining to watch him officiate a game.
Oh, the human element. It's all but taken over the second half. And Barkeen. You wonder when he is to return, Barkeen. Now then, ball to the corner. Searching for Campbell. He'll seed it. Knocked back to Gomes. Now Koziolik. Switch the wing. Bectus. Now we have a couple of players tumbling. Jackson Didion dragged down by Chim Bectus.
An interesting call. Looked like Jackson Didion kind of took a little fish flop on that one to help draw the whistle, but referee a little closer than we are.
This is certainly, and it's never going to be in a championship game, not an easy one to officiate for the whole crew. Both teams trying to draw the foul, trying to incite the incident. For the slight advantage, it settles for Yeager. Yeager's bumped. That will be a foul. And Dev Bamra asking why from Damjan Koich. And now will set his wall from goal. This might just be a shooting distance as Yeager is still down. Ice baths required after this match, however long it goes. Fair share of flops and fair share of very stern knees to the back and legs and such.
It has absolutely been a physical contest, though, and for both teams, again, with time continuing to wind down, a little over a half hour remaining, it'll be interesting to see how the final 35 play out, starting with this free kick.
Samuel Beek, the right-footed option. Finn Lubin, the left-footed option. Now, which German will it be?
My money's on Lubin.
He's run over at Samuel Beek. Far post, Dev Bamra. Thought he was a little more behind it than he was. I'd like to get rid of it quickly. And he's given Mateus Gavea quite the chance. Blasted his way through Ontiveros and found the opposite side of the field. Ton of space for Chim Bectus. Bectus to his right foot. Has a shot. He might have struck Stoyanovic right in the back of the head. Penalty. Was that a handball on Samuel Beek?
And a little bit of a delay from the official on that one, but he was staring right at it.
Samuel Beek in disbelief. I thought it struck Stoyanovic, but as you said, the official was right on the play, and Tony Ballmer pointed to the spot, said that Samuel Beek handled it. Ontiveros has recovered from the knock behind the play, and Mateus Gavea will have the penalty.
And a big moment for the freshman keeper here for Arce is, again, this is one of those plays that in a championship game, if you save this, I mean, the next whole 4 years at Bethel is going to be a ride, but if you let it go, you have to be careful not to let it get into your psyche and ruin the rest of the night.
Gavea, just over half an hour left in the championship. Can he break the score line even? Gavea, he can, and in fabulous style, Mateus Gavea. It was a walk in the park straight to the corner.
Again, just a very slow approach and a little bit of, I think, gamesmanship in that approach too, and then just the quick, easy step, rolls it in, didn't get under the ball whatsoever, and just sneaks it into that left post.
Christian goal scored by number 10, Mateus Gavea on the penalty kick.
Gavea looking for the camera on his celebration towards the stands. Well worth it. And the official, perhaps not taking too kindly to the celebration, decides to restart things as SCU is still recovering its position. Gamesmanship from all three parties, including those in orange tonight. That was interesting. Mateus Gavea has made it 2-1.
I think with Ballmer also, he knows we've had a few stoppages that have delayed this game longer, on top of the women's game going to 10 rounds of penalties. So maybe a little bit of wanting to get out of here as well.
Yeah. So, hey, we're getting a move on here. We're playing the rest of this match. Lubin almost slipped ahead for Ferreira. So Southwestern Christian University, after the Beek handball in the box, has now scored 2 goals in every match it's played. The issue for the Eagles, they've not scored more than 2. And Bethel College needs to produce the second goal SCU would have conceded in order to tie this match. Heck of a pass. Ball across Anselmi. Elijah Kerr. They fumbled it for a bit. Out to Artur Gomes. Mateus Gavea. And to be fair, he did find the camera towards the end. Flash the heart sign to back home. Flicked up by Clairvoy. Damjan Koich. Campbell wouldn't put it out of his question with that pace, and Kerr put Campbell off cleanly. It will be a goal kick.
And whether the salutations back home were directed towards Oklahoma or possibly Sao Paulo, we'll never know, but I'm sure there's parties watching in both sides.
Hey, why not both? Flicked along, pursued by Artur Gomes. SCU now in the renewed situation with 32 minutes to play is that far from a third straight NCCAA championship. The 4-seed Bethel College needs a goal if it wants the trophy now. Another one. And the first one had to come right out of the top drawer. Do you think, Ryan Sudol, if that can happen again for Bethel College?
I think they've definitely got one in them, and there's always a possibility. We've seen at the NCCAAs over the years where there's been penalties awarded to the other side as well with, just a couple of minutes remaining. So anything can happen, but Bethel has to be careful. If they give another goal up, it's going to be much, much tougher for them to crawl out of it as opposed to trying to equalize it too.
Being tidy and pushing forward, perhaps in waves. And with the injury to Jose Barquin, who scored the first goal, if he's unable to return, that'll make things harder for the Pilots. So he's gone down on 2 separate occasions. First time he came back, obviously. The second, not a peep yet.
Also with a few of the players, obviously not in the officials' book, to try and maybe fluster some of the players that have been booked for SCU and possibly get a man advantage for the final 20 or 15 minutes. Wouldn't be surprised to do that, but you have to be careful when taking that approach not to put yourself in the book as well.
Eyes had turned to a player like Gabrielle Ferreira, who seems certainly capable of getting under the skin of some of the Eagles. Any route to another goal would do for Bethel College. Southwestern.
What you're also going to see as well with SCU is every time you do have one of those balls trickle out, would have been very easy for Koziolik to just kind of go pick it up and send it back to his keeper as the keeper was giving chase. Again, that extra 10-15 seconds on balls that go out past touch, they're going to milk every second of clock that they possibly can.
Koich. Goea. Oh, there is some space now for Javier Verdu Sanchez. The switch, quick from side to side, has been working for SCU. Verdu Sanchez, he was fouled. Gabrielle Ferreira, none too pleased with the decision. Especially after that penalty, every whistle against Bethel College is going to draw a significant amount of ire. But the official will raise the arms up and stop the clock for the setup, almost compromising with the Pilots. This is a fairly golden opportunity to make it 3-1. Jim Bektas has lurked around these before, but this will be his to shoot. Arsa's shaded right to the middle, so both posts are in play for Bektas. Ferreira has found his way into the book for protest. Jim Bektas some 10 yards wide.
Nice go for Jim Bektas, and again, just from a position like that, just about 25 yards out, to get that perfect rotation to try to dip it under the bar, especially at this level, is not easy, and even for professionals, it's a very tough call.
Now, we've seen particularly Jamie Campbell in the first half. And these kids out there absolutely can pull it off. Yeager was pushed in the back by Jackson. Gives Bethel College a chance to get the big guys forward. Gibson and Beek to the edge of the 18. And the air from Lubin towards Samuel Beek. Flicked away by Koziolik. Corner awarded. Now, Samuel Beek looks very capable off of these set pieces. He's up in 6'3", 6'4". Zach Schoon has come in for Danny Arreguin. We saw Schoon in the first half as well. He's going to try and bother SCU on the ball as much as he can. Finn Lubin with an outswinging foot. Bethel's looked the more threatening from set pieces. This one's sent aloft by Artur Gomez. Back in from Yeager. Overly optimistic. See, Gomes, he headed it away, but he stayed down, caught his head wrong, jarred himself.
Yeah, as soon as he got his head to it, he immediately grabbed his head, probably just shook his neck up a little bit as well, might have caught him in the temple.
A lot of moving parts in that region. If it catches you wrong, especially on those defensive headers at that kind of space, or that kind of pace, it can be something that can take you right out of the game. 27-45. And Dev Bamra, another little goalkeeper tactic to waste as much time as possible. The official's going to call a stop to the clock. Because Dev Bamra, he called for the ball short and then waved them both up long. And the official will be telling Dev Bamra that's his last chance when it comes to the opportunistic time wasting. There's an art to it, and Bamra was just a bit overextended in his procedure. Aimed for Campbell, flicking on to no one. Gibson thought about the long ball initially, but now has Elijah Kerr. Plenty of space in the middle for Richard Ontiveros. He has three running up against the back line. Jackson had to head away. Gabrielle Ferreira was onside running in. Ferreira twirls to the near wing. Finn Lubin. Chance to swing across, and he's found his target. Yeager wide, and Dev Bamra deciding to stay on his line. Bruno Yeager couldn't believe his luck being in that much space.
Again, beautifully sent in ball, and just, again, it's a matter of inches, in that case centimeters, from trying to sneak it into that far post, and just the rotation coming off his head was enough to help usher that ball just wide right and keeping SCU with that 1-goal advantage.
The margins, of course, amazing. Earlier, the Bethel College first goal, Jose Barquin got the favorable side of the post. That was quite close. Kerr has not covered himself in glory. Jamie Campbell behind, and he's tucked away the third goal for SCU. Jamie Campbell with a brace, and the Eagles can taste it now.
And you talk about counterattacks, and again, Bethel with the poor mistake in the giveaway, and they just made him pay for it.
Elijah Kerr, he couldn't figure out the first touch. And Jamie Campbell, he doesn't need a second invitation if he's going to have a chance to run in behind. And the celebration has done Jamie Campbell in. And Jamie Campbell, with his usual amount of restraint, slamming the turf in frustration. Incredibly frustrated that he was injured in the celebration. And they'll have to call for the trainer who has gotten his workout in. That Fitbit is going to be exploding on his wrist pretty soon. For one of
by the cameraman that he was actually injured when Dev Bamra came off his line to join the celebration in the opposing half of the field and hyperextending the knee.
Somebody caught it, and Jamie Campbell might need a steak dinner from Dev Bamra when this is all done and dusted, because he scored his brace but had his knee sent in a uncomfortable direction by the goalkeeper, who has been zealous in his joining in the celebrations.
That would be extremely unfortunate. Again, he's not just been one of the physical leaders on the field for SCU, but also a vocal leader. Good to see him walking on his own power.
The trainer executing an all too familiar ACL test on that right knee. Seems to have judged that it's all A-OK and that things were just a little stretched out in the wrong direction. But Campbell doesn't look like he will carry fitness into the rest of the match. But to be fair, he's already done his damage, scoring 2 goals. The difference right now, 2 goals in the second half for SCU, not both Campbells in that respect. The Eagles have looked the better team in the second frame.
And for the Pilots, again, with 26 minutes and 27 seconds remaining in this half, a 1-goal advantage you can overcome. a 2 disadvantage, I have a feeling we're going to start to see a little more chippy fouls coming on here in the second half.
Obviously, you hope not, but there were a couple of Bethel College players that took grave exception to the celebration that was occurring from SCU. Finn Lubin to Schoon. Lubin has continued his move. Gabrielle Ferreira looked fairly capable. And Nick Jackson, he got caught into a challenge on Ferreira. He's stayed down. There might not be a player left standing by the time we conclude at Austin-Tindall Complex. The championship will be earned. Dev Bumrah will drop it to the ground. We've seen the good and the bad of Dev Bumrah's enthusiasm out of the goal. Dusted up by Clairvoix.
Feeling after this game might have to go back to the hotel pool and fill it with ice. Might not be enough.
Now the only body of water large enough you can cool down to put the whole team in. They might just sign a peace treaty and put both teams in the hotel pool. Arthur Gomes, Southwestern Christian University, making Oklahoma proud here, searching for the third straight championship at the NCCAAs. They have been the best team at the tournament on the measure of their 3 matches played, and all 2-0 wins to carry Group A. Bethel College, the Group C victors, did it in dramatic fashion. Is there one more dramatic chapter for Bethel College after their extra time winner in the semifinals? Belmonte. Alexander Koziolik on short to Mateus Gouveia. He wanted the foul, did not get it, and Arce scoops up the through ball. He's got a player down behind, and it's Ontiveros for a second time in this match. We saw Ontiveros toppled once before. He was escorted off by the trainer, and he was caught, I believe, on the opposite end of the challenge from Mateus Gouveia. And if there is a record for the most time stopped in a half, we could be getting close to it, and we're only half of the way through the second.
Yes, in a traditional game where the clock counts up, this is one of those ones where you see a crooked number put up on the fourth official's board and are not surprised by it, but
it's been an exceptionally physical match. Both teams, you can tell how much they want the championship, but only one will be able to leave with it. And it looks like SCU right now with the 2 second-half goals and Jamie Campbell, the latest. Ontiveros working next to Clairvoix as a holding midfielder throughout this tournament. Have not seen either of them depart for too long. Most of the substitutions have been centered around the wings of the defense and the attack for Bethel College. The interior with Clairvoix and Ontiveros, Beek and Gibson has remained largely unchanged. But this seems a rather serious injury for Ontiveros. He'll be hoisted up by the trainer in discomfort. Maybe a cramp on the extension of the leg as he's peg-legged towards the pilot's bench.
And a hand for number 13, Richard Ontiveros, back on his feet.
I believe it was Gouveia that wanted the foul up based on the contact from Ontiveros. And just a shame that Ontiveros got the brunt of it.
Tony Ballmer asking for a drop ball. It's informing the teams, and it should be in a show of sportsmanship over the top of all the chippiness we've seen. Brought in Escalante to spell Ontiveros, and he'll shift to right back. Beek has pushed his way up the field now, the German. See Gouveia probably send this back to the keeper. It is a gentleman's game after all.
At times.
It's the undercurrent. Or it's Kulik straight to the retention pond. A platoon substitution for Bethel College. It's Cardamone who's going to be shifting to the near side. Colatzos and Vera, all players we've seen already in this match. And Vera found himself in a couple of promising attacking spaces. So did Colatzos. Cardamone wasn't in the match too long to find himself on the ball like this. The Italian. Kerr.
Cardamone did get some limited minutes last year in the tournament. Again, only a sophomore.
Slippery pass, too slippery for Colatzos. It was almost there for Rolfson Clairvoix.
Over the line, goal kick up coming for Southwestern Christian.
Dev Bamra. So many injuries, it's hard to keep track of them and update you on the condition. Ontiveros and Barkeen still off. Ball is going to settle with Javier Verdu Sanchez. Jackson. It's the ball's sharp movement. Gomes. Damian Koich. Gomes. Down the wing, Alex De Silva back to Gomes. Forgot who his team was for a second, it seemed, because all the passes before that were so precise. Easy to collect for Dev Bamra. He'll be in no hurry. Drag this to the corner for Colatzos to chase. Clairvoix trying to fire up the Bethel College midfield. And you'd say at the beginning of the season, if you had a chance to fast forward from that point to this, the final down 2 goals, but with a chance at the championship, you might just take it in the final match. There's room to work for Stoyanovic, but his touch was loose. He thanks his service. Colatzos, crafty to Lubin. Running ahead towards Vera. Jackson, the last line of defense, really. Quick battle for it. Gouveia finds himself all over the field. And now contesting Clairvoix. Didion pinching up as Bethel College tries to find spaces. Overwhelming with numbers on the perimeter. Clairvoix. Back and forth we go. Finn Lubin out for Colatzos. Colatzos. He's done well. Cardamone. I feel Bethel College needs a goal soon to try and make this an interesting finish. Colatzos. Back through Samuel Beek to change the lines, but strong foot from Moritz Kulik. Some skill from Manu Belmonte. Oh my goodness, Manu Belmonte was cleaned. Straight red. Straight red for Rolfson Clairvoix, and I think he knew it right at the instant. What do you think of this?
That was, just an absolute brutal foul, and that's all but going to seal the fate of Bethel.
Straight red card for Rolfson Clairvoix. Dev Bamra, not to mince words, he's getting himself involved, and he's being shielded by his own teammates from the Bethel College bench, a goalkeeper that's prone to defending his players. And you just hope Manu Belmonte and Rolfson Clairvoix are okay. Clairvoix came in late. It was decisive, but there'll be a few protests about the fact that a red card was brandished for the midfielder from Queens. And it's interesting that it's Clairvoix because he'd have to be one of the few players that was not involved in a lot of the afters early. You get the feeling that in desperation he was trying to stop the counterattack, and he left one in late that absolutely crunched Manu Belmonte. I mean, that's an ugly challenge. That's a type of challenge you can see broken limbs in.
Oh, yeah, and I don't think that Clairvoix had any intent to injure, but, again, when you come in that hard and you miss, again, it's a very, very thin line between a malicious tackle and just a misstep. And, again, that's something that when you see at the professional level, it is something that is usually intended, but at this level, sometimes it's a game of inches, and that time he was just off by a few.
As you said, in terms of the actual competition, Bethel College now needs 2 goals down a man, which seems bordering inconceivable. But the competition has been backseated by the health of Belmonte and Rolfson Clairvoix, who has stayed down longer than Manu Belmonte. At first, it looked as though Belmonte had been folded over. You appreciate the decisiveness from Tony Ballmer. He went straight to the back pocket. He knew the instant he saw it he was going to a red card. And that will certainly mellow the match, hopefully.
Well, and also with Clairvoix still, I believe he is still down on the pitch as well. You can tell that wasn't the brunt that he wanted to take on that tackle, and he will hobble off the field and go sit in the rest of the locker room and watch the rest of this game from an iPad.
The officials have had a long conference. You get the feeling Rolfson Clairvoix is just being told of the fact that he's getting a red card. I don't think he saw it issued to him. I think the trainer just told him, and he was trying to figure out how. And the official, again, having a word with Dev Bamra. I didn't see if he actually issued a card to Bamra or not because, well, he's not always far away from the action despite his position at goalkeeper. He was up and involved. I might just see play resume at some point. We've drawn out some of the NCCAA officials as well to make sure everything is settled in accordance in a well-administered tournament, of course. And the SCU bench talking to Dev Bamra, saying, hey, maybe he should stick to the goal a little bit more than he has up to this point, but it might not be a question anymore. Rolfson Clairvoix has been removed with a straight red card. Manuel Belmonte is okay. Rolfson Clairvoix walked off under his own power. And we will continue with 11 for Southwestern Christian University and 10 for Bethel College. The spirit of what was a chippy edge boiling over, kind of dampening the final 20 minutes of the championship.
Red card issued to Bethel, number 14, Rolfson Clairvoix, and he is disqualified for the remainder of the contest.
Headed up into the air by Escalante, and there will be a corner for SCU. 1-1 at the half. SCU with 2 goals in the second. The last by Jamie Campbell. The first by Mateus Gouveia, who capitalized on a penalty after Samuel Beek handled the ball in the box. The service. Dangerous ball. Away from Carmona. Foul on Javier Verdu Sanchez. And Bethel College in the interesting position of being wholeheartedly exposed no matter what you do, but also needing to throw numbers forward to try and score because there is nothing after this match.
And it's one of those situations where for Clairvoix, it's one of those really long trips home back to Indiana.
He's being escorted by the NCCAA official gingerly because he suffered the brunt of the force to begin with around the back of the goal. So he is being removed from the premises as warranted, of the benches on the far side of the stadium. Long bus ride back indeed. It may very well be a long bus ride for the rest of the team as well. Clairvoix had been a staple in the midfield the whole tournament. One of those tempo dictating, ball controlling center mids. There's hardly a man seated on either bench, even minutes after the incident. We have been treated to a very interesting contest.
It's a little higher scoring than you were predicting pregame as well, but at times entertaining, at times frustrating. But right now, Southwestern Christian looking like they've got their third championship waiting in their back pocket.
It's in the bullseye for sure. And at the end of the day, as long as you win it, the beauty of the match entail, and we have seen some beautiful goals en route. Gouveia will draw an Ole. Now the no-look through ball to top it off. Kerr chests it down, ramped along by Beek. Mateus Gouveia. Wouldn't be surprised to see SCU really work to maintain possession because there just aren't the numbers to apply pressure in all parts of the field. Gouveia, he's dispossessed rather easily. Yeager, Ferreira, a couple of numbers forward. Gabrielle Ferreira, well, he had Didion out on the right, and Didion, frustrated he didn't find the ball. It came back and struck the hand of Gabrielle Ferreira.
And now with every call, some frustration going to occur every time a Bethel player doesn't agree with the referee's whistle.
Well, the penalty, Bethel felt hard done by. We had admittedly the worst angle in the stadium to see whether it was handled by Samuel Beek or not. And then the red card, virtually indebatable. Dev Bamra, the official, making sure that not too much time runs off for Bethel College as Bamra will waltz up to take it. He's been lording over it for quite a while, as another player is down on the far side of the field that I just picked down in the corner of my eye.
And did not see whatever fracas caused the downed SCU player.
I think it's Mateus Gouveia again. When he was dispossessed by Gabrielle Ferreira, I think he stayed down from that exchange. It must have been. And the physio is paying extra attention to the neck, I believe, or something in the facial area of Mateus Gouveia. It might have caught a stray arm up high from Ferreira. Gaveia's walked off under his own power. It was not a long walk, but he certainly seems ginger. Jamie Campbell has returned to the field, so keeping track of all the injuries that have occurred, one for SCU that is back out there. He'll be hunting for his hat trick, and he'll have room to do it working against a team a man down. Javier Verdu-Sanchez. Flat ball for Stoyanovic. Elijah Kerr. Would have been a wiser move to let that go, but some of the blame will fall on Arce. He had a direct route to the ball. That's a goalkeeper speaking, of course.
Yeah, especially on these set pieces, coming up from corner kicks, being a man down is not beneficial at any time, but especially when you have that man disadvantage.
Prevent Bethel College from trying to counter, throwing a man or two up top. Bounces in front, and goal number 4. Igor Stoyanovic, and I figure a matter of time until he found himself involved. It fell to his foot, and all he had to do was not make a mistake with it. Stoyanovic with his 3rd goal of the knockout stages.
Able to keep himself onside from that service, gets the second ball coming down, and just an easy put in for Southwestern Christian.
Stoyanovic, the big body, he was hard to move from the mouth of the goal, and once it popped free to him, he knew where to put it. Arce, absolutely nothing the Mexican goalkeeper could do about that one, which will all but polish off this event. With 16:54 to go. It was 1-1 at halftime, but 3 second-half goals for Southwestern Christian University. Rolfson Clairvoix ejected with a straight red card. Yeager fouled. Beek looking to take quickly, but Alex De Silva has cut him off from that. So a man down and 3 goals to make up for Bethel College. It would be the stuff of legend. The more likelier case certainly is an SCU 3rd straight NCCAA championship. This shot took a deflection on the way through. You heard it. It will be given as a corner by Tody Balmer.
And with Disney World right down the road, though. Who knows? They might be able to pull some of that magic from the kingdom.
The breeze is blowing from the Magic Kingdom, some residual effect. Lubin. Player down in the box, Bruno Yeager. And the whole Bethel College bench will erupt. Feeling hard done by circumstance as Yeager will stay down. At 16 minutes to play in the second half. And you heard the screams from Yeager, the official, Tony Ballmer. He's there to see for himself what occurred and will help Yeager up. I didn't quite catch it myself. If I had, our angle not forgiving. It has been a stop-start affair in the second half, but on the starts, SCU has found the goals. Didion. Gibson still up into the box, the central defense. Waiting on the clock to restart in the scoreboard. That will help out Bethel College just a little bit. Gibson's header wide of Bummer's goal.
Header attempts goes over the end line, and a goal kick coming up for Southwestern Christian.
Damian Koich will be subbed out.
Southwestern Christian substitution, number 19.
Chembektas has returned. He was, and this feels like ages ago, but part of the dust-up in the first half that we really thought kicked this match off. In actuality, it was going to get much, much more chippy. A straight red card, this is the second of the tournament, in men's or women's. Ottawa University, Arizona, the team that SCU beat in the semifinal, picked up a straight red card, playing Grace College in the group stage. That the only other issued. Gouveia. Gomes. Kosiolik. Brought around. Advantage is on. Cardamone. Lubin. It's a sharp bit of passing for Samuel Beek. Yeager. Oh, he had a run in behind. Just couldn't pick it, Yeager. Seems fully recovered from his knock moments ago. Lubin towards the back post. It won't test Bamra.
If he could have gotten that little pass up, Bruno Yeager had a good look at Tanner Gibson right at the top of the 18. Unfortunately for them, just headed away at the last second by SCU.
Part of the formation change being down by so much is Gibson, who is naturally a center defensive player, has just been thrown up top as a target man. A chance to chase glory. It's quite the challenge from Jackson Didion, sliding right out of left field. Kerr, who's taken up a central role in what amounts to a back three. Cardamone on the left and Escalante on the right. Injury-fueled substitutions there. Gibson, surprising flare from the center half, and a showman's diving header back from Javier Verdu Sanchez.
And the longer Dev Bamra keeps that ball at his feet, the longer that clock will tick away.
Dev Bamra, for all of his enthusiastic flaws, perhaps, he seems a master of wasting time. He really hasn't been called to task in this second half. Ferreira was fouled by Chembektas, Jamie Campbell, telling Bektas to carry on. But Bethel College, even before the player sent off, unable to mount a huge threat towards the SCU goal in the second half.
They did have that one shot off the free kick, but
Cardamone trying to change the narrative. It's been flicked on. Offside flag is up as Gibson tucks it home. Drifted beyond the back of the defense. Composed finish from Gibson, but it won't count for anything.
I think he knew it also as soon as he turned around, saw that he had nobody behind him, and just for a little bit of a momentum boost, puts it past Dev Bamra just for his own personal sake.
Well, it's always something that can slip into the back of a goalkeeper's mind, losing out on a first 1v1. Verdu Sanchez. The bag of tricks has been reopened as he trying to go back to Moritz Kulik. It's just blasted out by Didion. Koziolik. Kerr. Pressured by Stoyanovic considerably. Cardamone back for Arce. Campbell swept up, and Arce's dropped a nice ball back to Luca Cardamone. Gabrielle Ferreira, he'll go ahead and take the foul on the shove in the back. Artur Gomes, the physical holding midfielder. This has been a challenging match for all involved, including the entire officiating crew.
And the broadcast team.
And the broadcast team. We're up here, we're standing, but our fitness, well, it's not quite as good as those on the field, also not being tested as much. Cardamone is making a run through Didion. On ahead, Moritz Kulik will redirect the passing attempt. Quick throw for Finn Lubin. Bethel College is getting its numbers forward. Lubin towards the back post, a chance to score one! Gabrielle Ferreira! 11:05 to play, and at 4-2. Just something to think about for SCU. Bethel College has scored both goals the Eagles have allowed in this tournament. They had a man down, and it looked rather easy.
Even being a man up, you can never play from your heels. SCU just looking a little fatigued there. A beautiful service into the box and just a precise header by Gabriel Ferreira.
Finn Lubin's pass, so he's the man designated to take the majority of set pieces, and you can see why. And Gabriel Ferreira unmarked at the back post. There's not a whole lot Dev Bamra is going to be able to do in that situation if Ferreira heads it like he did. But the retaliation push is on. Javier Verdu Sanchez. Where will it go? Verdu Sanchez turned away by Kerr. Fresh legs, and that goal will certainly add to the stamina of Bethel College, if nothing else. The flag has been raised to acknowledge an offside flag on the near side of the field. It's always tough. These officials don't have the gift that you see in the professional game of the earpiece to let them know.
And you also have to go back to that play we were talking about minutes ago where Tanner Gibson got the offside but still just poked it past Dev Bamra, maybe just to get into his psyche a little bit. And, you know, you hate to say that it might have had something to do with it, but now they're definitely in the head of Dev Bamra.
That's a butterfly effect. Everything was a cause. Stoyanovic was wide for De Silva. Brave challenge from Escalante. As it, when he left his feet, looked like he would be going straight through the back of Alex De Silva, but he figured it out mid-air. To the final 10 minutes. Oh boy, one more goal from Bethel College would make SCU remarkably nervous. You don't necessarily see where it would come from, because the opposite effect of Bethel College gaining some adrenaline and stamina from the goal is SCU is renewed sense of focus. Gabrielle Ferreira with purpose against Koziolik, laying it across. Didion, oh boy. Didion went up high on Moritz Kulik, and he was trying to jump around Moritz Kulik, and you can see immediately Jackson Didion trying to check to see if Kulik is okay. There was no intent for Jackson Didion, but it did look rather bad as it actually happened in real time. With the pieces moving this fast, though, it's bound to happen at some point. You hope Moritz Kulik is okay. His knees to the face are never a comfortable experience.
Well, and with the new research done in other sports about head injuries and CTE and brain injuries, they're always going to take that extra second to make sure he's okay.
Does seem to be. You're always hoping for the bruise in that situation, and that's the result. This is a strange-looking play overall. Dev Bamra commanding from the back. Each goalkeeper now that's played, Milovic, who may or may not have left with an injury in the first half, conceded one. Now Bamra's conceded one to measure. Jackson. Back and forth we go. Yeager fouled. Tighter whistle now from Tony Ballmer. SCU's 9 minutes from a third straight NCCAA championship. The tidbit worth not forgetting. Flicked along by Yeager into a crowd. Dev Bamra, as Jackson and Gibson spilled each other. And Bamra, he's found a ball for Igor Stoyanovic, and Stoyanovic, what a battle from Igor Stoyanovic! Tries to turn the style on, rounding Arce, but Arce's little touch allowed the freshman goalkeeper to collect.
Oh my gosh, and you wonder why we didn't see him in the first 45. Just absolutely crazy playmaking ability. Looked like he might have gotten a little deflection off the hand, but no official saw it. But what an unbelievable show of individual skill by Stoyanovic.
The ability to think that quickly to go for the chip in those circumstances. But Arce, he timed his move off the line well to close down most angles, and here he is again, heading it away. Brave goalkeeping from the Mexican.
And that's one of those moves that, as a freshman, if you make it, it's a great play. But if you miss on it, and Stoyanovic comes up with it.
Igor Stoyanovic got a knee to the back from Arce, and on 7:50, we will take a clock stoppage. Now hoping that Stoyanovic is okay. It did bring to mind the old Joe Hart play, where goalkeepers using their head can sometimes backfire. I mean, obviously Zlatan Ibrahimovic isn't on the field to strike a 45-yard bicycle kick, but with that kind of speed off the line, not using your hands, it does remove the goalkeeper from the mouth of the goal for quite a few seconds. Should the header come off in the opposite direction, especially with the big Serbian Stoyanovic bearing down. James Mann has entered the game, and that will be it for Stoyanovic, maybe for the championship, but he's scored his goal in the championship match. Last year's player of the tournament. Exiting ingloriously after a few glorious exchanges. The second half full of events. We were 1-1 at halftime. And SCU grasping control up a man as well on Bethel College, and Rolfson Clairvoy's warranted straight red. Man quickly involved, and he's lost the ball out. Yeager to keep it moving up for Gibson. It's bounced back for Koziolik. Finn Lubin, does he have another special ball for us? He just might. Dev Bomra, though, able to wait at the edge of his 18. Gibson's not short on stamina, though. He has continued his runs up the top, 22 in black. Weighted ball towards the middle. Played back to Arce, but on a pass, he has to play it with his feet. Cardamone in a pickle. They'll laid Jamie Campbell, and he's gone down with a hand to the face. Jamie Campbell, in disbelief, will chuck it back to the spot.
And as we've talked about, one of the nicer men on the pitch, so for him to get an inadvertent foul there is not unusual.
Campbell battling with Cardamone again. Has got the better of him this time. Man, there's quite the wide load. He's been able to body off Kerr, lays it through for Govea. The legs not as sharp as they were, but Govea's picked Kerr's pocket, kept it in. A great skill and ball control from Mateus Govea. Govea is taken by Cardamone. Gabrielle Ferreira. Bethel College has already pulled one back, a man down. Ramped through by Gibson. Finn Lubin, but Jackson with the long strides. The Englishman won a race. It looked like he might lose. Didn't look like that for too long. Artur Gomes, reckless from Gibson, should be yellow. Nick Jackson wisely telling his team that Tony Bomber has this under control. Artur Gomes upset. That was just an old-fashioned clattering from Gibson in pursuit.
And studs up, wouldn't be surprised to see a straight red here. Shocked not to see any card whatsoever.
Very surprised. Oh, there it is. The assistant referee reminding Tony Bomber that he hadn't yet issued the card. He's been involved in so many conversations, it's easy to get lost. But Bolak and the official, well, he's let his referee know that, well, you said you were going to give him a yellow, but you hadn't actually put it up in the air. So there we are. It was a yellow. It was given to Gibson. I think if the match is closer, especially the chippy nature earlier, could have been the red you were talking about. There was very little ball contact, but you understand the desperate pursuit for Gibson, where the whole season boiled to 6 minutes. Substitutions in play. Schoon joining things as SCU will provide some minutes for Aiden Tate. His first appearance of the match, the 15 in gray. Gouveia, and he was fouled by Cardamone. Cardamone looked to help him up. And more words from Tony Baumer for Mateus Gouveia, who they've had a relationship that's gone through all of its ups and downs in the 90. Jamie Campbell, he's gone round two. Jamie Campbell already with 2 goals, looking for a third. Brought it to his right foot. It's a last-ditch challenge from Escalante. Campbell again across the face of goal. Touched away desperately. But Jamie Campbell, absolute dynamite on the gallop.
Unbelievable individual skill into the box. Able to keep it right there on the end line and cut back and again split 2 defenders and try to set up a shot. And very close to being an own goal for Bethel.
Nervous moments when you have to play a ball traveling at that speed, and if you don't, it's headed into the back of the net.
I believe this match started a little after 8:35, so definitely one of the longest regulation games I've ever seen at an NCCAA tournament.
Stoyanovic with the corner. It's sent away, and a remarkable amount of injuries. The first goal scorer for Bethel College, Jose Barquin, on his second time of going down. He's not returned. Now he's the standout being a goal scorer, but there are more players than that. Milovic, that won't even come to mind with the amount of injuries we've had that have not returned. Stoyanovic, fortunately for SCU, even if this last match of the season, able to take to the field. Man, it's run round by Escalante. Foot in for Mateus Gouveia, the timing exceptional from the Brazilian, and he's found and been rewarded with acres of space. On the far side of the field, Jamie Campbell, he's done more with less. Campbell towards the end line, around Escalante. Campbell, saved by Arce. And you cannot blame him for searching for the hat trick. That is an unenviable position for Chris Escalante and that type of isolation against the pace and strength of Jamie Campbell. What a season for Bethel College. The 4th seed winning Group C, knocking out the 3 seed Campbellsville. In extra time, knocking out the 2 seed Grace College, but it's the 1 seed that seems to be the tripwire. Southwestern Christian University with a fantastic season. Fell just short of the NAIA. Stoyanovic to try and ice it. He swung through and missed. Would have been offsides anyhow. James Mann taking out his frustration on the goalpost. And you get the feeling every time James Mann does something, the bench is roused. James Mann will be cautioned as well for his violation of the goalpost, because I'm pretty sure he's the only player without a yellow card.
Number 30, James Mann.
But it's been a spectacular season, again, just short of the NAIA. And a very difficult conference. And Southwestern Christian University will be able to put a cherry on top with one more trophy. And it was not easy to earn. Ice baths abound after quite a match. Alexander Koziolik in space will shoot! And the whipped cream as well for Alexander Koziolik, the German. 5-2 for the SCU Eagles. And the NCCAA champions with a chance to celebrate early.
And Koziolik there, just a perfect run. James Mann was begging for the ball right at the spot. Koziolik takes it himself and puts this one away. And for a freshman, that's going to be a huge move going forward for SCU.
In favor of the Eagles.
Southwestern Christian University, the better team for a marginal portion in the first half, by far the better team in the second half. A match that had plenty of strong challenges, plenty of injuries, plenty of controversy. Strangely enough, the straight red, one of the moments that lacked controversy for Rolfson Clairvoix. And Clairvoix, you hope he's okay. Dev Bamra will chest it down to run as much time as he can, heads to the corner, but Schoon has some wheels. Forced Bamra to pick that up prematurely. A great season. The cherries, the whipped cream, and if there's another goal, I might have to add the sprinkles as well. I think I'm almost out on the SCU Sunday. But it's always a great way to send off the seniors with a trophy, and that's what SCU will be able to do here tonight.
And speaking of Sundays, it almost is.
We only needed another hour, 3 minutes. Terrible pass is found. Schoon with a chance to shoot. Schoon will pass this off. Samuel Beek, 5-3. And the alternate universe continues. Samuel Beek on one of the more questionable back passes you will see. Great early save by Dev Bamra. But Bamra left on a complete island, and concentration lapsing a bit too early for Southwestern Christian University. Only 2 more goals to go for your SCU to end up at a goals against average of 1 for the whole tournament, having clean sheeted its way to the final. It's remarkable to think about. But if you'd told Bethel College it scored 3 goals in this match, the Pilots would have figured it was a better circumstance.
And now a conversation being had between the center and the fourth.
The bench is just about as far from us as possible. In the capable stewardship of Roger O'Brien, the fourth official who's been around the entire tournament. On 65 seconds from SCU to its 3rd consecutive NCCAA Men's Division I championship. Yeager was a goal to take home for Samuel Beek. It'd be hard to conjure 2 more goals. You'd need this move to come off. Cardamone, Lubin. Lubin's put it across. Settled by Ferdu Sanchez. We might have the sprinkles yet. James Mann's asking for it. Stoyanovic. Escalante has stepped forward, battling with Stoyanovic, and he's got the better of him. Put near side for Cardamone, and it's zipped out of play. The opportunity in the final 20 seconds to hear your summation of what has been a wildly high-scoring match in the championship.
It's been something. That's really all you can say. It's been very physical, but congratulations to SCU as they're about to win their 3rd straight here at the NCCAAs.
And it will be hard-fought, hard-won, but Bethel College to 2nd place. And friends at the end, SCU are the champions of the NCCAA. Here from Kissimmee, Florida, on behalf of the rest of the crew, the camera crew, the producers, and Ryan Sudol to my left. It's been an absolute blast to bring this to you. The champions, Trinity Christian College for the women, and the dancing SCU Eagles in the middle of the field in a wild 5-3 shootout. It had a straight red. It had a couple of goals and more injuries than you could count. And it also had 1 trophy headed back to Oklahoma. We'll see you next year from Kissimmee, Florida. You've been watching the NCCAA Men's and Women's Division I Soccer Championships. The important note to add is that if you will stick around on the channel, the awards ceremony is coming up in moments. It'll be brought to you by the PA Address announcer.